Alrighty, back from the League Cup, and it was very interesting to say the least. The very first League Cup where Searching Sparks is legal, I did run only into one deck that actually was straight up a new Searching Sparks deck, but I think it was a very good time nonetheless. I went 1 win, 2 losses, 1 tie. First round, I went up against Regidrago, and I actually went up against arguably one of the best players in South Africa, so that was very fun to see. And he was playing Regidrago, which in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can kind of handle this maybe, but yeah, no, I could not. And the funny thing was that for the most part, so I play the 60 HP rolls, because that's what comes with the League Battle deck. The whole time, everyone always says 60 HP rolls is kind of sketchy because of Dragapult. And out of all of the times that I've played against Dragapult players, which I've done multiple times, this has never been an issue of 60 HP. It's never really been that bad, except for today against the Regidrago player. That is where things started to go a little bit wonky, especially because turn 1, I decided to go first, he went second. I think I had a Ralts and another Ralts on the bench or something like that. Turn 1, on his first turn, he was actually able to get off a Dragon Laser, a turn 1 attack. So knock out one Ralts and put 30 damage onto the other Ralts. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I was kind of able to stabilize I was able to end up getting, Rare Candy, Gardevoir out, but I was also able to put down a Screamtail and sort of switch the Screamtail in and start to chip away at the Regidragos on the bench. But I can't remember exactly how, but I think, oh no, yeah, it was because he ended up getting the Dragapult attacks off and stuff like that, that he was able to knock out my active and then slowly chip away at the bench and stuff like that. And it was sad because especially after he knocked out, that first turn, the whole point of Turbo Gardevoir started coming in where I was actually able to, put down Pheasantipity, Rare Candy into a Gardevoir. Sadly, I couldn't get out Drifloon because I didn't have a way to get it. So I was only able to put down a Screamtail, no Bravery Charm, and I still remember I was dumping away energy and he was like, oh, can I have a look at your Discord, pal? And I just straight up told him, there's not enough. There's not enough to get a KO, don't worry. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. The best I could do was put on 160 onto a Regidrago. And the issue was that because he didn't have to use Trifrost, he never had to worry about discarding energy. And I think that was my one win condition, to force him to use Trifrost or something, boss something else up into order, boss something else up in action, and then just start peppering away so that he has to work to be able to get off another attack. But sadly, that was not the case. Game 2 comes around, and that's when the star of the show comes into play. I chose to go first again, and I'm able to put Klefki into the active on turn 1. Basically, turn 1, he goes and he says that it kind of sucks because he can't use his Teal Mask Ogapon because Mischievous Lock blocks all basic abilities. But unfortunately, despite that, he was still able to make some really good plays in that he was still able to use up all the cards in his hand, and then he was able to bench it on a Cleffa. And on his first turn, he was able to Cleffa for 6 cards. I'm like, okay, that's probably a lot better than just being able to Teal Dance. Obviously, you miss out on the energy attachments, but that's fine. And then I was able to get up some Curliers and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get up a Gardevoir. At one point, I did have 2 Curliers. One Curlier had a Hero's Cape on, so it had 180 HP. And then at some point, he was able to get the Klefki out of the active. I think he used a Prime Catcher on it. And then, obviously, with Klefki no longer in the active, he was able to do all of his shenanigans. Also, on the second turn, so after that first turn he Grasping Drawed, I wasn't able to get the Gardevoir immediately. So I passed over to him again. And his second turn, where he was still under the Mischievous Lock, he was able to Grasping Draw for another 5 cards. He was, even though he couldn't Teal Dance, even though he couldn't do stuff, he was still burning through cards in hand, and he was just manually attaching to the Regidrago, which I identified. I'm like, okay, cool, he's not able to, Teal Dance E-Switch, but he's still just powering up this Regidrago nonetheless. I need to start doing something. So I think at some point I switched the Klefki out, I bossed up the Pheasantipity, and I put the Screamtail in, and I tried to ping some damage onto his Regidrago. Unfortunately, he was able to get 2 Regidragos in play and start energizing both of them. And at that point, 2 Regidragos, both energized, and he didn't even need to use Trifrost yet. He also put a lot of damage onto one of the Curliers, which was surviving thanks to the Hero's Cape. It had 80 damage on it exactly with the Hero's Cape. And then he played it on a Jamming Tower, which got rid of my Curlier, and I'm like, okay, well, the only card left at one point, I had just a Klefki, and I knew it was game over because there was no way I could get out. If I put down anything, a Ralts, even if I TM Evo it, he has Trifrost ready to go. He has so much ready to go, so I just scooped that, and that was 2 losses against Regidrago. Then after that, game 2, or round 2 rather, I went up against Lostbox, the same guy that played Lostbox at the Lost Cup. So that was very interesting. Game 1, I unfortunately lost. Again, I was able to... Klefki, like I said, Klefki saved me so much. This obviously cancels out the Flower Selecting and the... literally all of his Pokemon. Flower Selecting, Concealed Cards, Cramorant's ability to ignore damage and stuff like that. The issue was that every single turn that I had Klefki in the active, he would just boss it away. And then he was able to, you know, once he bossed it out, he was able to flower selecting whole bunch, Colress tenacity to get just enough energy or just enough cards into the lost zone. He would always be bossing my Curliers and Roltzin. So he'd boss Roltzin, put up Cramorant, and then spit innocently. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Take that out. Put the Klefki back in. Like, let me try and buy more time. Let me, you know, stop as much as possible. Every single turn, I would try and set up with a Ralts or a Curlier. Both of my rare candies were prized, so I was unable to just go turbo instantly Gardevoir. So I was relying on stalling him out with Klefki and slowly evolving my Ralts and Curliers. But every single time, after the first time he used a bosses, then he used a Prime Catcher, putting up another Curlier, knocks that one out, put Klefki back in, try and evolve another Curlier for the next turn for a Gardevoir, boss him the Curlier. So at that point I was like, okay, you now have 10 cards in the discard pile. Sableye, no matter what, I cannot get an instant Gardevoir. You will always cancel, you will always KO whatever I put in. So I just scooped and went to game 2. Game 2 went much better. I was able to actually have Klefki in the active once again, and I was able to get a Gardevoir out. And then once I finally take Klefki out, I sniped away his Radiant Greninja to stop his draw engine. And then I later on sniped away his Cramorant and stuff like that. And that was a lot better, a lot smoother, thankfully, since I was able to get my cards energized. I got very lucky because he needed like one card left to win. Like he needed literally a Mirage Gate so that he could switch his active out. That was what the issue was. He was stuck with something in the active. He had 10 cards in the lost zone. He could have put Sableye up and then start going for KOs with that because he had 3 prize cards left. So he could have Sableye knocked out 2 things. Like he could have knocked out the Screamtail, which had a lot of damage onto it, and then also put counters on something else for a knockout. And then like next turn, I think he would have had a Roaring Moon in hand or something like that. But thankfully though, he bricked out and I was able to get the KO. And then as soon as we finished that second game, that was time. So it was the story of Gardevoir, another tie. But at least it's better than last week where I lost against the Lostbox. Round 3, that's where things get interesting. I go up against a guy playing Hydraigon. That was very fun. Or Hydraigon, I guess, if you want to be very specific about it. Unfortunately though, as is a story with most Pokemon players that will tell you why they lost, I lost both matches against that Hydraigon player because I was bricking super hard. It hurts whenever you have to refinement away your Ionos so that you can't like hand disrupt them. And essentially think of what Gardevoir hates, right? It hates the Dragapult with the damage counter spread. It hates Regidrago specifically for Kyurem. And now you have Hydraigon, which is literally Kyurem but better. It doesn't do 110, it does 130 damage, and it doesn't have to discard the energy, so it can just keep on doing that. Once he got his first Hydraigon set up, it was pretty much game over for me. He was able to knock out like both of my Curliers and then something else in the active, like I think a Klefki or something. And I was like, okay, well, because of what I'm seeing here, there's literally nothing I can do. I don't have a Ralts to rare candy into a Gardevoir, and whatever I put down, you will just be able to Obsidian again and knock out. So I scooped that, and then game 2, again, similar thing. Unfortunately, I was able to get a Gardevoir up at one point, but because I didn't have enough damage. So this is another issue with Gardevoir, is that even with the turbo of being able to rare candy into Gardevoir, maybe it's because I run Hero's Cape and not, what is it called? Secret Box, so maybe that is another issue in my deck. He was able to get out his Hydraigon. He was able to only crashing headbutts because we were on even prize cards, so he couldn't counter gain Obsidian. He got 1 knockout, and then because of that, I was able to thankfully have a turn to get up a Gardevoir. I had a Drifloon down, had a Bravery Charm in the Drifloon, but because Hydraigon has 330 HP, no matter what I did, I could not get enough like onto this Drifloon to knock out the Hydraigon. I would have had to get like what, 6 energy essentially, 5 energy for the Drifloon to do 300 damage, and then maybe also like a Darkness energy on a Monkey Dory to shift that across. So instead what I did was I put down a Screamtail, I tried to boss up a Pheasantipity, and I tried to ping away at the Hydraigon from the bench. But of course, because he has a Pidgeot, no matter, even if I try and boss something up or counter catch something up, he can search for the perfect card to just put something out, which was, by the way, a Regidrago EX. So I'm like, okay, well, with a Regidrago down, there's literally nothing I can do to stop this Hydraigon from coming in and just Obsidianing or crashing headbutting whatever I put in the active. So that was unfortunately a loss to Hydraigon. Round 4 though, I went and played against a Miraidon player. Unfortunately, this guy was sort of playing the base Miraidon League battle deck. So like the Regieleki VMAX and stuff like that, which I mean, I won pretty easily because it was a very, very simple deck, and I just knocked out his VMAXs for 3 prize cards each time. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna put down a VMAX, only has 310 HP, Drifloon just knocks that out very easily. I will say though, I did stick around and watch the semi-finals for my one friend who was playing Miraidon with the Pikachu and the Magneton. And I will say, That looks like a very interesting deck. That is a huge addition. The Pikachu, so that you don't have to worry about using Mewtwo, which is a liability, because Pikachu can at least tank out a hit. And then also having the Magneton to just, out of nowhere, attach energies to the Raichu, or the Miraidon, or the Iron Hands, or literally whatever you need at that time is so nice. At the end of it all, we did come away with some prize packs and a Stellar Crown booster. Not Surging Sparks, unfortunately, because I think the store was out of them. There is another League Cup next week. I would like to ideally try Charizard. Unfortunately, we don't know when exactly, for whatever reason, South Africa is getting the battle decks a bit late. I would really hope that the Charizard battle deck comes out before then so I can take that. I don't know if it'll do well. I don't have the best cards for it to upgrade it. I don't have the Rotom, the Forest Seal Stone, the Thornton, and stuff like that. But I want to try out something different from Gardevoir. So, that is what I would like to do. But for now though, let's open up these prize packs. It's 4. Emergency Jelly, Super Rod, oh, another Klefki. A Trekking Shoes, that could be very nice. And a Fortress EX. But what I think I might do is, it's ironic because after today, I was like, I wonder what would happen if I stuck with Gardevoir Burnett. Or maybe even, if I don't get the Charizard battle deck next week, maybe I'll go all in, balls to the wall, and I'll use the Henry Brand, Dusk Noir, and Burnett deck. The only issue is that I don't have the Pokestops for it, which I feel like Pokestop is kind of necessary for that deck, because you have no draw engine, so you at least want something to be able to get those items. Arizu, hello. Oh, Arizu might honestly be good for a Frostlass deck. I do need to try and grab the other Uxies and Mesprits and stuff like that, or Uxies and Azels, but Arizu could be nice. You just grab 3 Frostlasses, evolve all of them instantly, that could be very nice. An Artisan, a Baxcalibur, Bravery Charm, and a Palpad is actually very nice. Recycle your supporters, and a Darkness Energy. Once again, price packs are looking to be, I mean, it makes sense, right? The bulk of my playable cards, whereas Stellar Crown is probably going to be a bunch of nothing. Oh hey, another Curlier. And another Emergency Jelly. I think this is like the 6th emergency jelly I have. Boss's Orders. Ooh, a Foil Fire Energy. And oh, another Curlier. At this point, I can almost upgrade my entire deck to be Playstamp Curliers, and especially now with a foil one. And then another Fire Energy. Alrighty, and then Prize Pack Series 5. Oopsie, camera, don't lag now. There's the code card. Nest Ball, Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking, Professor's Research, TM Devo. Once again, this could be useful in the Frostlass deck. A Skeledirge EX, ooh, hello. This is like the knockoff Palkia, right? Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of like the actual Skeledirge, like not the EX version. Actual Skeledirge has knockoff Palkia. This is 160 damage, doesn't affect weakness, resistance, and then you can discard a Fire Energy to do 60 more, I think? 60 more damage, yeah. And then a Psychic Energy. Alright, Stellar Crown, time to disappoint me yet again. Alright, here's the code card. And a Tauros. Fidough. Applin. A Brawler. A Payapa Berry. Reshiram. Swalot. What that mouth do? My goodness. Barugly. A Lacey. And a Credilli. I mean, I guess Credilli, I know there's some meme decks with the Selective Slime, right? But yeah, that was that for this week's League Cup recap. Next week, hopefully, will be a bit better with maybe a Charizard deck. Also, I know that the one I'm going to next week should be a lot more players, so probably a lot more rounds to play as opposed to just 4. Maybe like 5, 6 rounds, maybe even. But we'll have to wait and see till next week. So until then, though, thank you for watching and bye-bye.